So, some unverified footage was released today, and I'm probably going to schedule this video, so you'll probably see this in a couple of days' time. And this is very interesting, isn't it? As you can see, it is the British Met Riot Police, the London Riot Police, training against someone with a camo hat and a Molotov cocktail. Another guy with a British flag on his arm and a knife. Let's watch it. The training looks pretty serious, doesn't it? Like, this is actually, throwing fire around. They're right in their full gear. And they're dealing with what appear to be patriots with knives. Right. Interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. That really tells us what they're expecting to see this summer, doesn't it? Because summer is, of course, when all of the trouble tends to kick off because the weather's better. And so they're preparing in advance. Make sure that you're expecting British patriots on the street with British flags on them, training the police to attack people who have British flags on them. This is somehow not outside of the realms of what should be not really thought about. No, this is precisely what they're expecting. Because it shows you who they think the real threat is. And you see this in everything. Like, everyone's like, well, everyone in the comments is like, well, I hope they watched Adolescence. They doubtless did. They doubtless will have made them watch Adolescence as part of their training. And they are expecting that the native British people have had enough. And they are the people they actually fear. They don't fear the minorities. They pander to the minorities as much as they can. They see themselves as the servants of the minorities. They see you as the problem. And they see the British state as... And they see the British public as the problem because of the size of the British public. Minority groups are still individually relatively small. Like, everyone's going on about, oh, Britain's an Islamic caliphate. No, there's only 6.5% Muslim population here. Like, it's something like, only a fifth of London is Muslim. It's mostly not Muslim. Everywhere, actually. There's a few million Indians, a few million Sikhs, a few million East Asians, a few million Africans, a few million of this, a few million of that. We've got a really diverse melting pot of cultures from all around the world. And they all eat at McDonald's and wear the same crappy clothing. Because they're all so diverse. No, they are not worried about those people at all. They know that those people are wards of the state. They know those people are dependent on the state. They know that those people view themselves in contradistinction to the native English population. They view themselves as islands of ethnic enclaves surrounded by a sea of English. And the British state knows that this has been done against the English and against the British more broadly, and they're worried that you're going to have had enough of it. That's what this comes down to. And so they are training their officers, their soldiers, as an occupying force to physically defeat you in combat. That's what they're doing. And they want their officers, their men, and whoever else, to be prepared to engage in physical violence with people with British flags on. That's what this is for. And this is the sort of combat they expect to have from you. Knives and Molotovs is what they're expecting. And they saw you saw the initial stages of this with the Southport riots. And I think they are going to, in their training equipment and materials, they will undoubtedly reference, look what happened with the Southport riots. We are not prepared if something terrible is done by one of our wards, one of our dependent client groups. The British people will freak out and get on the streets again. And we know because they've already done it. And we managed to keep a lid on that one that time. But is it going to be worse next time? And the answer is, well, possibly, actually. Because it's not like people felt that they got justice last time, is it? It's not that there's been any catharsis from the British people through the proper punishment of the person. They feel like they're still the second-class citizens. they feel as if the state still has its face set against them. And the people clad entirely in black with their plexiglass shields and doubtless with truncheons, yeah, kind of, you can see why they feel that, right? Like, whose side does it look like the British state is on? Because it sure doesn't feel like it's on my side. And I bet people watching this probably aren't going to feel that it's on their side either. And the thing is, they're going to have all sorts of arguments and rationales as to why it is better for the state to be prepared to fight the people who pay the taxes. They're going to have all manner of arguments. Well, we've got to make sure things don't get out of hand. They don't get out of control. We've got to make sure there's law and order. And it's like, okay, but if the law and order are producing mass stabbings, concert bombings, other random terror attacks, and then the just continual spate of other low-level individual crimes, like stabbings, robbings, all these other things that are happening to people. Like, don't you feel like you have a responsibility to stop that? If that's the order that you're bringing into being, the UK, as it were, well, are you surprised that people are like, you know what, I think I might have had enough of this. I actually think this isn't going to get any better. And so I'm not surprised that they're worried that you're going to rise up. I'm not surprised. I mean, you may have seen David Betts doing a round on various podcasts recently. I really should get around to covering his predictions, that he's just coming out and saying, look, the climate in the UK, with the economic stagnation, the complete lack of prospects for the future, and the continual feeling of dispossession amongst the English especially, because mass immigration appears to be stealing their country from them, yeah, well, we're in a perfect cauldron that could create a civil war. Because, I mean, if it was a more fractured electorate when it comes to the ethnic composition of them, then it's probable that no one group is powerful enough to be able to engage in a civil war and attack the rest. But the English are still 75% of England. Like, things are bad, but they're not beyond saving. And if the state is not prepared to do something in our interests rather than against the interests of the majority population, well, David Betts thinks that this is actually the flashpoint for a civil war. And I'm not surprised that they're taking that seriously. I mean, he's probably advised the government themselves. I don't know why you'd go on a bunch of alternative media podcasts to talk about it. Why isn't he on the BBC? But I was watching and listening to his podcast, and he has got a full grasp of the issue from our perspective. He understands what we think, and he's genuinely worried that this means violence. Now, I just want to be very clear. I am not encouraging violence. I am not encouraging any kind of uprising. I'm encouraging you to find the most right-wing party you can think of that is not going to just betray us like the Conservatives have, and like, let's be fair, Reform probably are going to end up doing, and vote for them. Find a nativist party that actually puts the interests of the British people first and support it. That's what we're going to have to do. I said about 5 years ago, that this is going to be a 20-year plan. Well, we're about 5 years into that 20-year plan. We can already see why such a thing is necessary. Well, things are on the horizon. Ben Habib has become the leader of a party. He is. I've spoken to him about this, and I shouldn't spoil anything, but he is putting a plan in place to democratize it and make it a professional thing that is actually going to speak from the nativist position. Unlike Nigel Farage, who's still, frankly, a Blairite. He's trapped within the politically correct consensus, and he's happy to stay there. He's insistent. It's not a racist party. It's like, yeah, but that just means you're not for the British people, Nige. Anyway, I don't want to go off on it, but the point is that you can see what's on their mind by what they're planning, what they're practicing for. And what they're practicing for is you, in your British flag with a Union Jack on it, having an actual street fight with them. That's what they expect to see. So, and I just want to be clear, I don't think you should give it to them, right? Other groups, their client minority groups are probably going to do this for them, right? The Israel-Palestine stuff probably is not going to go away. It looks like Pakistan and India are going to get into a massive conflict, and that means we're going to see literal bloody riots between these two communities who for some reason are just left to live next to each other on our streets. It's going to come here. I actually don't think we should do anything like this at all. I think what we should do is just organise. It's just politically organise. Use the pubs. Go to the pub and be like, right, we are going to set up essentially, a branch of our political party from the pub. And we're going to sit here and decide what we're going to do. We're going to leaflet, canvass, talk to one another, etc., spread the word. And we're just going to find something that will actually serve our interests, rather than the ego of particularly vain people or the globalist, treacherous, WEF types who, for some reason, are just insistent on selling out the country, insistent on selling us out to every foreign group under the sun. We're not going to do this anymore, right? We are going to just find that party that actually serves our interests, and we're not going to play their game, because they want this, right? They want you to do this. Facial recognition software, what do you think all that's for? It's to make it more convenient to get on the planes. Bollocks, is it? It's to catch you, right? It's to make sure they have total control over the things that you do. And this is like this is how they market it. It's like, well, it'll help us keep track of immigration. You don't care about keeping track of immigration. What you care about is making sure you know who the dissidents are, who the people who are likely to, frankly, and you're worried about overthrowing the British state. Well, I don't think we should play that game. Don't ever get involved in this kind of thing. Even no matter what happens, just remember that every count has been proved, and vote accordingly. We will choose something that is just something that's completely outside of their control, and we're going to have to take over. This is how it's going to happen. It's going to have to be through the ballot box. And I don't want to hear anyone in the comments whining that that's not what they want to hear. I'm on YouTube and I live in England. Get a grip. We're going to form a party that is going to be full of intellectuals, full of professional activists, full of people who have been through the ringer and know the system. And we're going to win. We're going to win elections, and we're going to abolish everything that they've done. We're going, when we win, to have a plan. We're going to plan out this for years in advance. And we're going to spend the first month stripping everything down. Everything they have done in the last 30-odd years is going to be destroyed. But it's not going to be destroyed through street violence, and that's not at all in any way what I suggest. I want the opposite of street violence. I want effective political action. So just be ready, ladies and gentlemen, because we are going to start something that will not be stopped.